The fluorescent lights of the corner office buzzed quietly as Nathan Blackwood stared at his computer screen, the quarterly reports blurring before his eyes. At 45, he had everything society said should make him happy. Senior VP position at Turner & Associates, a luxury apartment in the city's most prestigious district, and all the material comforts money could buy. Yet the half-empty whiskey bottle in his desk drawer told a different story. "Mr. Blackwood, your 3 o'clock is here," his assistant's voice crackled through the intercom, triggering the now familiar anxiety that had become his constant companion. Nathan's hands trembled slightly as he reached for the drawer, telling himself it would be just one quick sip to steady his nerves. It had become his ritual, his secret companion, through every major meeting and presentation. The irony wasn't lost on him. He had built his reputation as the company's problem solver, the guy who could handle any crisis with unwavering composure. His colleagues praised his ability to remain calm under pressure, never suspecting that his composed exterior was maintained by a carefully managed schedule of drinking. Even Rachel, his ex-wife of 15 years, hadn't realized the extent of his dependence until the very end. Their divorce 6 months ago had been the first crack in his carefully constructed facade. "I can't compete with whatever it is you're running from, Nate," she had said, placing her wedding ring on their kitchen counter. "You're here, but you're not really present. Haven't been for years." The memory of that night still stung. He had immediately headed to his usual bar, where he spent hours convincing himself that Rachel was wrong, that he was in control, that he could stop any time he wanted. But deep down, in the quiet moments between drinks, a voice he had long suppressed whispered that something had to change. That whisper had grown louder recently, especially during his Sunday morning walks through Peterson Park. He had started taking these walks as a way to clear his hangover-clouded head, but they had unexpectedly become a time of reflection. The sight of families heading to the nearby community center and church stirred something in him, a longing for connection, for purpose beyond the next deadline or drink. It was during one of these walks that he first encountered Pastor Michael Andrews, who was organizing a community outreach program. The pastor's genuine interest in his story, without judgment or agenda, had caught Nathan off guard. For the first time in years, he found himself opening up about his struggles, though carefully avoiding any mention of his growing dependency. "Sometimes our greatest challenges become the foundation for our greatest purpose," Pastor Michael had said, words that now echoed in Nathan's mind as he prepared for his afternoon meeting. What that purpose might be remained unclear, but the seed of possibility had been planted. As he straightened his tie and checked his reflection in the window, Nathan caught sight of Will Fisher, his colleague, giving him a concerned look through the glass partition. Will had been dropping subtle hints lately about a recovery program that had helped his brother, leaving business cards for Dr. Maya Patel, a respected therapist, on Nathan's desk. He had thrown away the first few cards, but the latest one remained tucked in his wallet, its edges worn from the times he'd pulled it out, contemplating making the call. The intercom buzzed again, reminding him of his waiting appointment. As Nathan reached for his desk drawer, his hand hesitated. For the first time in years, he felt the weight of a choice. Continue down this familiar path, or take the first step towards something different, something real. The modern glass and steel architecture of Turner & Associates towered over the city's business district, a testament to corporate success and ambition. But beneath its polished surface, a different kind of community was taking shape. Will Fisher had quietly built a network of support among employees, struggling with various addictions, though few knew about his involvement in local recovery initiatives. Will's own journey had led him to partner with Dr. Maya Patel's innovative treatment program, which combined traditional therapy with workplace support systems. Her office, located in a converted Victorian house just blocks from the corporate center, provided a stark contrast to the sterile business environment, a place where executives could shed their corporate masks and face their true selves. Nathan's first real step toward change came through an unexpected channel. During another Sunday walk, he encountered Tom Sullivan leading a community cleanup initiative in Peterson Park. Tom's easy manner and quiet strength drew Nathan into conversation, and soon he found himself volunteering alongside the group. What Nathan didn't initially realize was that many of the volunteers were in recovery themselves, with Tom serving as their sponsor. "We believe in rebuilding lives by rebuilding community," Tom explained one morning. as they cleared debris from a storm-damaged playground. Sometimes the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in service to others. The simple wisdom in Tom's words resonated with something deep within Nathan, though he wasn't ready to fully acknowledge why. The community center adjacent to Pastor Michael's church became another touchstone in Nathan's expanding world. The pastor had created a space where business professionals could engage in community service without compromising their privacy or professional standing. Here, Nathan encountered others like himself, successful on the outside but struggling with inner battles. Rachel, though no longer his wife, remained a complex figure in Nathan's life. Their paths still crossed at industry events and mutual friends' gatherings. Each encounter served as both a reminder of his failures and a measure of his gradual awakening to the need for change. Her new role as director of a youth mentorship program sparked something unexpected in Nathan, not jealousy, but admiration for her ability to find meaningful purpose beyond their shared past. The corporate environment that had once felt like Nathan's entire world began to reveal its limitations. Through his growing connections with Will, Tom, and Pastor Michael, he glimpsed possibilities for a life where success wasn't measured solely by quarterly reports and corner offices. Yet the whiskey bottle in his drawer remained, a persistent reminder of the gap between recognition and resolution. Breaking chains, finding purpose. The Nathan Blackwood story. The breaking point came during a crucial board presentation. Nathan's hands shook so badly he could barely hold his laser pointer, and his words slurred slightly despite his careful morning preparation. He caught Will's concerned glance from across the conference table, and for the first time, he saw himself through others' eyes. The meeting wasn't the disaster it could have been, but the whispers that followed him back to his office cut deeper than any failed presentation. That evening, instead of heading to his usual bar, Nathan found himself parked outside Dr. Maya Patel's office, clutching Will's worn business card. He sat there for 2 hours, engine idling, wrestling with the possibility of walking through those doors. The thought of admitting weakness, of potentially jeopardizing his career, felt overwhelming. His phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. "Heard about the presentation. Are you okay?" The genuine concern in her message both touched and terrified him. Pastor Michael's words about purpose kept resurfacing, but now they seemed to mock him. What purpose could he serve when he couldn't even control his own life? The community service work had become both a lifeline and a source of growing internal conflict. How could he help others while hiding his own struggles? Tom had begun giving him more responsibility in the park restoration project, and the weight of that trust felt crushing. The corporate world he'd navigated so successfully for decades suddenly seemed like a maze with no exit. Each morning he arrived earlier to avoid concerned glances from colleagues. Each evening he stayed later, the bottle in his drawer his only companion. The isolation grew deeper, even as his involvement in community projects expanded. The disconnect between his public face and private reality became increasingly unbearable. A crisis emerged when a junior analyst, Claire Peterson, came to him for mentorship. Her bright-eyed ambition reminded him of his younger self before the drinking had taken hold. During their third meeting, she confided about her father's struggle with alcoholism. Nathan felt the walls closing in as she described the signs she'd recognized, signs that mirrored his own behavior. The guilt of potentially influencing another generation of professionals toward the same destructive path hit him with unexpected force. The final straw came during a community center event. Nathan was helping organize a career workshop for recovering addicts when one participant shared a story that cut too close to home. The man described losing everything to maintain the appearance of success, his words painting a future Nathan could see himself hurtling toward. In the middle of the session, Nathan had to excuse himself, rushing to his car where he kept an emergency bottle. As he reached for it, he caught his reflection in the rearview mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. Tom found him there, head in his hands, the unopened bottle on the passenger seat. Instead of judgment, Tom simply said, "Sometimes the hardest step is admitting we're on the wrong path." He then shared his own card, not a business card this time, but one for a recovery meeting held in a discreet location, attended by other professionals who had faced similar struggles. As Nathan began attending the recovery meetings, layers of his life he'd long ignored started unraveling. His relationship with his younger sister, Sarah, had grown distant over the years, their weekly phone calls becoming shorter and more superficial. When she announced she was coming to visit with her teenage son, Jason, Nathan faced a new challenge. How could he explain his increasingly frequent absences from family gatherings, his involvement with the community center, and the subtle changes in his lifestyle? The corporate landscape was shifting too. Turner and Associates had launched a wellness initiative led by none other than Will Fisher. The program included mental health resources and addiction support, though carefully framed in corporate language. Nathan found himself in the uncomfortable position of being asked to be a senior sponsor for the initiative, given his reputation for handling stress and crisis management. The irony was not lost on him. His work with Pastor Michael's community outreach had unexpectedly connected him with Rachel's youth mentorship program. Their paths now crossed more frequently, forcing them to navigate a new kind of relationship. Rachel noticed the subtle changes in him, the clearer eyes, the steadier hands, but neither of them addressed it directly. Her silent support, though unspoken, became a source of both comfort and anxiety. Claire, the junior analyst, continued seeking his mentorship, sharing more about her father's struggle with addiction. Each conversation felt like looking into a mirror of his own past and potential future. Through her stories, Nathan began understanding the impact his own behavior might have had on others, particularly his marriage to Rachel. The weight of this revelation led him to start journaling, a practice suggested by Dr. Maya Patel during their now regular sessions. The community center work revealed another unexpected connection. One of the regular volunteers, Marcus, turned out to be a former client Nathan had helped years ago during a corporate merger. Marcus had lost everything to addiction after that deal, only to rebuild his life through the very program Nathan now attended. Their roles had reversed. Marcus, now 5 years sober, became an unofficial guide for Nathan in the recovery community. Tom's influence extended beyond the recovery meetings. His philosophy of rebuilding lives through rebuilding community began to reshape Nathan's approach to both his professional and personal life. The park restoration project evolved into a larger initiative, attracting corporate sponsorship and media attention. Nathan found himself straddling two worlds, maintaining his corporate image while quietly working toward recovery and community service. These intersecting storylines created a complex web of relationships and responsibilities that both supported and challenged Nathan's journey. Each connection represented a thread in the tapestry of his transformation, though the pattern remained unclear to him as he lived it. The moment that changed everything wasn't dramatic or earth-shattering. It came on an ordinary Tuesday morning as Nathan sat in his office preparing for another board meeting. His hands were steady for the first time in years. He hadn't touched a drink in 3 weeks, the longest stretch since college. The whiskey bottle still sat in his drawer, untouched but present, like a museum piece from a past life. His nephew Jason had been shadowing him at work as part of a school career project, and the boy's presence had forced Nathan to maintain his sobriety with an intensity he hadn't thought possible. As they worked together, Nathan found himself sharing genuine wisdom, rather than hiding behind a facade of success. The pride in Jason's eyes when he talked about his accomplished uncle to his friends hit Nathan in an unexpected way. It was the first time in years he felt he might actually deserve such admiration. That morning, as Nathan reached for his desk drawer out of habit, he froze. Jason had left his school journal on the desk the day before, open to an essay titled, "My Role Model." The words leaped off the page. "My uncle Nathan shows me that it's never too late to change. He helps people rebuild their lives through his community work, and he's teaching me that true success isn't just about making money, it's about making a difference." The revelation struck him with physical force. For weeks he'd been going through the motions of recovery, attending meetings, doing community service, all while keeping that bottle as a safety net. But reading Jason's words, Nathan suddenly understood what Pastor Michael had meant about purpose. His journey wasn't just about stopping drinking, it was about becoming the person his nephew already believed him to be. In that moment, surrounded by the trappings of his corporate success, Nathan finally surrendered. With trembling hands, not from withdrawal but from profound emotion, he picked up his phone and called Tom. "I need you to come to my office," he said, his voice steady. "It's time to let go." Tom arrived within the hour, his quiet presence a stark contrast to the bustling corporate environment. Together, they emptied the drawer's contents into a bag. As the bottle clinked against the trash can in Tom's car, Nathan felt a weight lift that he hadn't even known he was carrying. The real breakthrough came when he turned back to his office building. For the first time, he saw it not as a fortress protecting his secrets, but as a place of opportunity to help others who might be fighting the same battles he had faced. Will's wellness initiative took on new meaning. The community center's career workshops became not just an obligation, but a calling. Later that day, in Dr. Patel's office, Nathan shared his experience. "It's like I've been living in a house with all the curtains drawn," he said, "and someone finally opened them. The light hurts my eyes, but I can see everything clearly now." Dr. Patel smiled, noting how this was the first time he'd used a metaphor to describe his feelings, a sign that he was finally connecting with his emotional truth. That evening, Nathan did something he hadn't done in years. He called Rachel, not to apologize or explain, but to thank her. "You were right," he said simply. "I wasn't present, but I am now." The ripple effects of Nathan's decision spread through his professional and personal circles with unexpected speed. The most immediate change came from within Turner and Associates. Will Fisher, sensing the shift in Nathan's demeanor, approached him about co-chairing the corporate wellness initiative. "We need voices that understand both sides of the fence," Will explained. "Your experience in the corporate world, combined with your personal journey, could make a real difference." The news of Nathan's recovery journey elicited varied responses. Some colleagues kept their distance, uncertain how to interact with this new version of him. Others, however, began seeking him out in private, sharing their own struggles or those of family members. His corner office, once a fortress of isolation, became an unofficial safe space for confidential conversations about addiction and recovery. Rachel's reaction surprised him most. After their phone call, she invited him to speak at her youth mentorship program. "These kids need to see that success isn't about perfection," she said. "It's about honesty and growth." Standing before a group of teenagers, sharing his story without hiding behind corporate jargon or false bravado, Nathan discovered a new kind of confidence, one built on authenticity rather than appearance. His sister Sarah's visit took on new meaning. Instead of the carefully orchestrated facade he usually maintained, Nathan allowed her to see his transformation in progress. Over dinner at his apartment, now free of hidden bottles, they had their first real conversation in years. Sarah shared her own fears about Jason's future, given their family's history with addiction. "Watching you change," she said, tears in her eyes, "gives me hope for him." The community center work evolved as well. Tom encouraged Nathan to start leading some of the career workshops, combining his business expertise with his recovery experience. The participants responded to his corporate knowledge, but it was his vulnerability in sharing his struggles that truly connected with them. Marcus, his former client-turned-recovery mentor, proudly watched from the back of the room during these sessions. Dr. Patel noted significant changes in their sessions. Nathan's corporate mask had fallen away, replaced by genuine emotional awareness. He began addressing long-buried issues: his father's alcoholism, the pressure to maintain a perfect image, the years of emotional numbness. "You're not just getting sober," she observed. "You're finally allowing yourself to be human." Not all changes were comfortable. Nathan had to learn new ways to handle stress without alcohol as a crutch. Board meetings and client presentations required different preparation now. He developed new routines: morning meditation, regular exercise, and honest check-ins with his support network. Some days were harder than others, but the clarity that came with sobriety made even the challenges feel manageable. 6 months into his recovery, Nathan faced his biggest professional challenge yet. Turner and Associates was hosting their annual leadership conference, and Will had asked him to give the keynote speech. The topic: authentic leadership in modern business. Standing at the podium, looking out at faces he'd known for years, Nathan made a decision that would reshape his career and the company's culture. "Success has many facades," he began, his voice steady. "For years, I built mine with PowerPoint presentations and profit margins. But true leadership, I've learned, begins with honesty, including being honest about our struggles." Then, in front of 300 of his peers, Nathan shared his story of addiction and recovery. The impact was immediate and far-reaching. By the end of the conference, 5 other executives had approached him privately about their own battles with substance abuse. The corporate wellness initiative, once viewed as a mere HR requirement, gained genuine traction. Will and Nathan worked together to establish a confidential support system for employees seeking help, partnering with Dr. Patel's practice to provide professional guidance. His work at the community center evolved into a formal program called Bridgeback, combining recovery support with professional development. The initiative caught the attention of other corporations, leading to partnerships that created employment opportunities for recovering addicts. Marcus became the program's first success story, securing a position as a financial analyst at a partnering firm. The relationship with his family deepened in unexpected ways. Jason's school project had expanded into regular mentoring sessions, not just about business but about life's challenges. Sarah noticed her son's growing confidence and emotional awareness, attributing it to these conversations with his uncle. "You're not just saving yourself," she told Nathan during one of their now weekly dinners. "You're breaking a generational cycle." Rachel became a crucial ally in his community work. Their past struggles transformed into a partnership focused on helping others. Together they developed a workshop series for families affected by addiction, combining her expertise in youth mentorship with his corporate experience and recovery journey. Their professional collaboration helped heal old wounds, replacing bitterness with mutual respect and shared purpose. Tom watched Nathan's growth with quiet pride, eventually asking him to become a sponsor himself. "Your story bridges worlds that rarely connect," Tom explained. "You show people that recovery doesn't mean giving up success. It means redefining it." Nathan's first sponsor was a young executive from a competing firm, their weekly meetings becoming lessons in both sobriety and authentic leadership. Dr. Patel noted in their sessions how Nathan's language had changed. He no longer spoke of managing his addiction or controlling his urges. Instead, he talked about growth, purpose, and connection. His journal entries, once focused on daily struggles, now explored questions of meaning and impact. "You're not just recovering," she observed. "You're discovering who you were meant to be." The park restoration project, where his journey had begun, became a symbol of his transformation. What started as a simple cleanup had grown into a community hub, complete with a meditation garden and meeting space. Nathan often spent Sunday mornings there, not to nurse a hangover as before, but to mentor others beginning their own journeys of recovery. As Nathan approached his one-year sobriety milestone, Turner & Associates faced a pivotal moment. The company was preparing to merge with a larger international firm, creating uncertainty throughout the organization. The stress levels in the office reached new heights, and Nathan observed several colleagues falling back into old coping mechanisms. His own resilience was about to be tested in ways he hadn't anticipated. The merger negotiations coincided with a crucial phase of the Bridgeback program. Several major corporations were considering implementing the model, which would mean national expansion. Nathan found himself juggling high-stakes business meetings with program development sessions, all while maintaining his recovery routine. The pressure mounted when he learned he would be the key presenter to both the merger committee and potential program partners, all in the same week. During this intense period, Jason came to him with troubling news. A friend from school was struggling with addiction, and the boy's family was in denial. The situation eerily mirrored Nathan's own past, triggering memories of his darkest days. The weight of responsibility, to his nephew, to this unknown family, to his colleagues dealing with merger stress, felt overwhelming. Pastor Michael sensed Nathan's growing tension during their weekly conversations. "Sometimes God puts us in positions where our past pain becomes our greatest tool for helping others," he counseled. "But we need to remember we're not alone in the work." This wisdom proved timely as Nathan began preparations for what would be the most challenging week of his recovery journey. Tom helped him develop a strategic approach to the upcoming challenges. They doubled down on recovery meetings, and Nathan assembled a support team including Dr. Patel, Will, and Rachel. Each would play a specific role in helping him maintain his balance during the crucial period ahead. Dr. Patel suggested specific stress management techniques for the high-pressure presentations, while Rachel offered to handle some of the youth program responsibilities. The merger negotiations revealed an unexpected opportunity. The international firm had been searching for a comprehensive employee wellness program, particularly one addressing addiction in high-pressure corporate environments. Nathan's team began adapting the Bridgeback model for global implementation, potentially affecting thousands of lives. As the pivotal week approached, Nathan received a letter from Marcus. His former client, now a successful analyst, had been promoted to team leader at his new firm. "You showed me that rock bottom can become a foundation," Marcus wrote. "Now I get to build on that foundation every day." The letter became Nathan's touchstone as he prepared for the challenges ahead. The conference room buzzed with tension as Nathan prepared to present to the merger committee. The weight of the moment pressed down on him. The future of both the company and the Bridgeback program hung in the balance. As he organized his notes, he caught a glimpse of his reflection in the window, clear-eyed, focused, present. 1 year ago, he would have been steadying his nerves with a drink. Today, he drew strength from something deeper. Just before the presentation began, his phone buzzed with a text from Jason. "Uncle Nate, Kevin's parents agreed to talk to you. They're coming to the community center tonight." Kevin was Jason's friend struggling with addiction. The timing couldn't have been more challenging, yet Nathan felt a surge of clarity. Everything in his journey had led to this day. The presentation transcended typical merger talks. Nathan wove together business metrics with human impact, sharing how the Bridgeback program had actually improved company performance while transforming lives. He revealed the global potential for the program, backed by data from pilot projects and testimonials from participants. Then, in a bold move, he shared his own story. "A year ago, I was the perfect example of what we try to hide in corporate culture," he told the stunned room. "Today I stand before you as proof that our greatest challenges can become our greatest assets." The international firm's CEO, known for his tough stance in negotiations, leaned forward with unexpected interest. What followed was unprecedented. The CEO shared his own family's struggle with addiction, and the discussion transformed from a merger negotiation into a strategic partnership planning session. The international firm didn't just want to implement the program, they wanted to make it a cornerstone of their corporate culture across all global offices. Hours later, emotionally drained but energized, Nathan arrived at the community center. Kevin's parents, initially defensive and skeptical, sat rigid with anxiety. Nathan saw his own past reflected in their fears and denial. Drawing on the day's energy, he shared his journey with raw honesty, watching as their defenses slowly crumbled. "We thought asking for help meant admitting failure," Kevin's father finally said, his voice breaking. "But watching you today, seeing what you've built, maybe it's actually the first step toward success." As they talked through treatment options, Nathan noticed Jason standing in the doorway, tears of relief in his eyes. That night, the community center hosted a special meeting. The room was packed with an unlikely mix: corporate executives, recovery program participants, family members, and community leaders. Will and Rachel had organized it to celebrate Nathan's 1-year sobriety milestone, but it became something more, a testament to the bridges that had been built. Tom stepped forward to present Nathan with his 1-year chip, but he wasn't alone. He was accompanied by 3 others: a young analyst from the Bridgeback program, an executive Nathan had sponsored, and Kevin, who had agreed to start treatment. Each held a piece of Nathan's story, representing the ripple effect of one person's transformation. "Recovery isn't just about stopping something," Nathan addressed the room, the chip warm in his palm. "It's about starting something greater than ourselves." Looking around at the faces before him, Rachel's proud smile, Jason's hopeful gaze, Will's knowing nod, and so many others whose lives had intertwined with his journey, Nathan finally understood what true purpose felt like. 2 years after that pivotal merger presentation, the Bridgeback program operates in 12 countries, helping hundreds of executives and professionals find their way to recovery while maintaining their careers. Turner & Associates, now part of a global corporation, has become known as much for its innovative approach to employee wellness as for its business success. Nathan's corner office looks different now. Where the whiskey bottle once hid in his drawer, a collection of sobriety chips sits proudly on his desk. Not just his own, but those given to him by others he's helped sponsor. The wall features a photo of the restored Peterson Park, now a thriving community hub where business professionals and recovery groups alike find common ground. His relationship with Rachel has evolved into a deep friendship, built on mutual respect and shared purpose. Their family workshops have become a model for other recovery programs, helping heal not just individuals, but entire family systems. Sarah often jokes that Nathan is more present as an uncle now than he ever was as a brother before, and Jason's college application essay about his uncle's influence earned him early acceptance to his dream school. Dr. Patel still sees Nathan, though their sessions now focus more on helping others than on his own recovery. Your transformation, she tells him, shows that rock bottom can become a foundation for something extraordinary. The practice they develop together, combining corporate stress management with addiction recovery, has become a blueprint for treatment centers nationwide. Tom, now a close friend and mentor, often reminds Nathan of their first meeting in the park. God doesn't waste our pain, he says. He recycles it into purpose. This truth resonates through every aspect of Nathan's life, from the corporate boardroom to the community center, from family gatherings to quiet moments of reflection. The journey hasn't always been smooth. There have been challenging days, difficult decisions, and moments of doubt. But Nathan has learned that strength isn't about never struggling. It's about knowing you don't have to struggle alone. His story continues to inspire others, showing that it's never too late to change course, that purpose can emerge from pain, and that true success is measured not in profits, but in lives transformed. Nathan still takes his Sunday morning walks in Peterson Park, though now he's rarely alone. Sometimes he's accompanied by Jason, home from college, and eager to share his own dreams of helping others. Other times he walks with new members of the Bridge Back program, sharing his story as the morning light filters through the trees. His upcoming book, From Corner Office to Common Ground, aims to reach those still hiding behind corporate masks. But his greatest joy comes from the simple truth he lives every day, that purpose isn't found in success or sobriety alone, but in using both to light the way for others. If you're struggling with addiction, questioning your faith, or wondering if God can use you, know that He can transform any life, any workplace, any situation. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message of hope. Have your own story of transformation? Share it in the comments below. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today.